Welcome to PAR Podcast, episode 77.1. PAR Podcast is an audio supplement for Public Administration Review, the premier professional journal in the field of public administration. This year, 2016, inaugurates PAR's 76th year furthering public administration research, theory, and practice. This episode features comments by Norma Riccucci, who is the Board of Governors Distinguished Professor in the School of Public Affairs and Administration at Rutgers University in Newark. Professor Riccucci discusses her article titled Representative Bureaucracy, a Lever to Enhance Social Equity, Co-Production, and Democracy, co-authored with Gregg Ryzin, who was also a professor at the School of Public Affairs and Administration at Rutgers University in Newark. This article is currently available in early view and will be published in Public Administration Review, Issue 77, Volume 1.
As a theory to practice piece, I'd like to mention at the outset the practitioner points we offer in our article. First, representative bureaucracy can promote diversity within government organizations and more broadly, social equity throughout the nation. Second, bureaucracies that are representative of the people they serve can enhance citizens' trust in government and can foster the achievement of democratic goals. Third, through its effects on legitimacy and trust, representativeness can influence the extent to which clients and citizens cooperate and comply with government, thus co-producing important policy outcomes. And fourth, increasing the representation of women and people of color in government can promote bureaucratic accountability. Early studies on representative bureaucracy focused on passive representation, which examines the extent to which the social composition of a bureaucracy reflects the social composition of the population it serves. As we discuss in our article, a variety of measures have been developed to demonstrate the extent to which bureaucracies are passively representative. So what are some of the implications of passive representation for practice? In the broadest sense, passive representation is indicative of the success of government in promoting social equity, long considered the third pillar of public administration. To the extent government demonstrates the value of social equity, including fair and just treatment through its own employment practices, it creates a model and momentum for similar employment practices throughout society. Such employment practices include, for example, paying women and men equitably to promote social and economic justice. By unpacking the concept of social equity, a particular values of representation can be further identified. For one thing, it signifies greater diversity on the basis of race, ethnicity, gender, and even disability. Creating diverse organizations has been a major goal for governments at every level. It points to government's commitment to serve as a source of employment for women, people of color, and disabled persons. Passive representativeness in government bureaucracies then expresses important democratic values and serves important goals related to fairness and equity in society. And there is evidence that more representative agencies may function better as organizations, especially when coupled with effective diversity management. The next question we address considers active representativeness, which asks, do demographic characteristics such as race, ethnicity, and gender correspond with particular sets of values that, when better represented in the bureaucracy, translate into better policy and administrative outcomes for underrepresented groups? Based on the research, the answer to this question is yes. Race, ethnicity, and gender do matter in decision and policy making. For example, women, as compared with men working in the bureaucracy, are more likely to push for programs and issues that benefit women in the general population. This is critical in terms of practice. Studies have illustrated, for example, that increasing the proportion of racial or ethnic minorities in police forces can lead to a decrease in citizen complaints, not only per officer, but in overall complaints against the police force. This suggests that a more representative police force translates into better treatment of not only minorities, but of all citizens. It further suggests that greater diversity in police organizations may encourage all officers to work against unfair or unethical practices such as ethnic or racial profiling. A third, more recent strand of research in representative bureaucracy has focused on what has been termed symbolic representativeness. The main idea of symbolic representation is that the mere existence of a passively representative bureaucracy can itself translate into benefits for society without any actions taken by bureaucrats. Research shows that symbolic representation can have real effects. For example, there's a body of research illustrating that the presence of African American police officers enhances African Americans' trust in the police, thereby creating greater legitimacy for the law enforcement agency within the community, and in turn, more cooperation and compliance with the law. There is also a perception that passive representation is indicative of shared values and experiences which can promote greater trust in the citizenry. Another study found that increasing the number of women in a hypothetical local domestic violence unit increased perceptions of trust, fairness, and job performance of the agency. In terms of practice, symbolic representativeness is significant for a number of reasons. For one thing, it could be a factor in the co-production of important policy outcomes in such areas as policing. If women, for example, are more willing to report domestic violence crimes when women are the frontline workers with whom they interact, there is an increased likelihood that these crimes would, in fact, be reported and potentially resolved. Symbolic representativeness also enhances the legitimacy and accountability of bureaucracy. In the area of policing, this is critical. The problem of police brutality towards African Americans has shattered their trust of police and local communities across the country. Recently, in cities such as Ferguson, Missouri, Baltimore, Maryland, Cleveland, Ohio, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Charlotte, North Carolina, riots and fervent demonstrations followed the fatal shootings of African Americans. It was found that in Ferguson, for example, there was a severe underrepresentation of African American law enforcement officers. While approximately 2/3 of Ferguson's residents are African American, only 3 of the town's 53 police officers are African American. In addition, a detailed investigation of the Ferguson Police Department by the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Justice Department revealed a pattern or practice of unlawful conduct within the Ferguson Police Department that violates the First, Fourth, and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution and federal statutory authority. Ferguson provides a clear case of the detrimental effects of a simultaneous lack of passive representation, active representation, and symbolic representation. Concerns about representative bureaucracy are justified given the important role administrative institutions play not only in the implementation of public policy, but in more substantive political decisions about the distribution of vital public services. As we show in our article, evidence from public administration scholars demonstrates the important ways in which the social origin of bureaucrats shape the outcomes experienced by clients and citizens. From a practitioner's point of view, research findings clearly suggest that efforts to enhance the diversity of administrative agencies become important for a variety of reasons. Beyond the basic issues of social equity in hiring and promotion, diversity of the workforce may also influence the capacity of the agency to accomplish its mission by more effectively meeting client needs and by inspiring public trust and cooperation. Additional research on representative bureaucracy, particularly its symbolic effects, is certainly needed. In addition, replication studies would strengthen the evidence from previous findings, help advance the theory of representative bureaucracy, and encourage further research in the area. It is critical that the research continues to examine the practical applications of the theory, including the challenges and complexities of creating a more representative bureaucracy.
This concludes PAR Podcast, episode 77.1. To listen to additional episodes and learn more about Public Administration Review, please visit us online at publicadministrationreview.org. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at PA Review. Thanks for listening.